Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Antwiwaa if you're new here, and if you're not, what's up my G, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be reacting to the Smart Money Woman series that was recently released on Netflix. I think it was released about a few days ago, and I'm also going to be sharing 7 lessons you should take away from this series, mainly because if you're not new to this channel, you know that right here on this channel we discuss personal finance and personal growth or development. So it was only right that I react to this series and share the lessons that I think are worth noting from the series. If you do not know, the Smart Money Woman started off as a book, actually 2 books in the series, or the sequel if that's what it's called. So there are 2 books. The very first one is The Smart Money Woman and the second one is The Smart Money Tribe. I've read both of them. I think I read them about 2 years ago or about a year ago, and I keep going back to the books because they have some really good nuggets that you can apply in your day-to-day life when it comes to your finances. So very, very good books. So I was definitely excited when I heard about the series that was going to come out based on the books, and I definitely was looking forward to see how the story from the book is going to translate into a movie, and they did not disappoint at all. I definitely enjoyed the series as much as I enjoyed the book, if not more. They did a good job, so kudos to everybody that worked on it. If they ever get to see these videos, kudos, like a round of applause to you guys. You guys did an amazing job. If you're new to the Smart Money Woman story, book or series, and you don't know anything about it, I'm going to give you a very quick summary. Don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I hate spoilers. I'm not going to do that to you. But the story is basically about this young woman. Her name is Zuri. Zuri is a young woman who works in a good company, earns a very good income, lives in a luxury apartment. She lives a good life, a luxurious life, has all the big brands, the Dior's, the Fendi's. She goes on vacations, trips, all of that good stuff, and she has a rich boyfriend. So the story revolves around this young woman, her figuring out that her finances and her lifestyle do not match, and it takes us from her coming to that realization, learning all the things she needs to learn about finances, and getting to a point where she has attained or is almost at the point of attaining financial freedom. It also features her friend group or her friendship circle, which consists of 4 or 5 women. I think 4 women from different walks of life. So some of them are married, some of them are single, some of them are professionals, some of them are entrepreneurs, housewives, you know, basically what you would see in a normal African society. And it also features a heartbreak as well as a new lover or a new boyfriend. So very good story, very good storyline. You should definitely get the books or watch the series if you haven't already. And without wasting any more time, I'm going to go straight into the lesson so I don't spoil it for you. But before we go into the lessons, if you like the video so far, please give it a thumbs up, and also smash the subscribe button if you want to subscribe. Do it right now so you don't forget to do it later on. Now let's get straight into these lessons. Leçon numéro 1. It is never too late to fix your finances. It is never too late to unlearn your bad money habits, unlearn bad money beliefs, pick yourself up, and work towards attaining financial freedom. During the course of the series, realize that there are 2 categories of people. The very first category, which are people like Zuri, are people that realize where they are financially, accept where they are, and then work towards unlearning things or beliefs that they already have, and slowly progress towards attaining financial freedom. That's the first category. The second category of people are people like Tami. So Tami is basically Zuri's fashion designer friend, and people like Tami are people that live in denial. Their finances are not at a good place, but this category of people are in denial. They try to find quick fixes which are usually not long lasting. And of course, you know, I'm going to say that the category you should be in is Zuri's category. No matter what stage in life you are with regards to your finances, no matter how old you are, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 70, 80, it is never too late to realize where you are financially, accept it, and work towards fixing it. The second lesson is to learn to say the magic statements, or at least that's what I'm calling them. Learn to say things like, no, I cannot afford it. No, it's not within my budget. No, I didn't budget for this expense. And you realize that a lot of young people struggle to say no to their friends or colleagues or acquaintances based on so many reasons. Some people are too ashamed to say no. They don't have the budget for it. Some people don't want to appear broke. It doesn't mean that you cannot afford whatever it is forever. It just means that at this stage, you know exactly what kind of goal you have for your finances. So in order to get to that goal, in order to attain those goals, the best thing for you to do is to cut down on your expenses. And during the course of the series, you realize that Zuri had to learn to say no and stand her ground. So there was one scene where she was supposed to pay an exorbitant fee for an ashobi. Basically, an ashobi is like an outfit that you wear to a wedding for the sake of uniformity. She didn't know this person that was getting married very well. The person was literally not her friend. It's just a friend of a friend wanted her to pay that money to buy the fabric and sew the ashobi. And that was one of the first instances where she said no, she couldn't afford it. And paying for an ashobi, no matter how small the amount was definitely going to add up over time. So lesson number 2 is learn to use the magic words or the magic statements. The next lesson that is worth noting from this series is to make sure that you associate yourself with people that have similar goals, similar aspirations as you. When you finally come to terms with your finances and decide to make changes to them, not all your friends are going to agree or want to go along with you on that journey. Some of your friends may not mind spending a lot of money because they are simply in denial, like Tami. Some of them have the money to spend. So there are these categories of friends that may be in your life that may not entirely support your goal of wanting to be financially independent. If you don't have any friend that is there to support you, that is there to hold you accountable, it may be very, very difficult for you to reach the level that you want to reach financially. Luckily for Zuri, she had a friend like Lara who was holding her accountable from time to time. But imagine Zuri being in a midst of friends who were not financial literate or who were basically not even interested in switching their behavior in order to reach a certain financial level. It would be 3 times, 4 times more difficult than it would be if you associate yourself with people that have similar goals, similar ambitions as you, because these people will push you, will hold you accountable, and will constantly remind you of your goals and encourage you to do better. And the next lesson is to be teachable. Nobody has every single knowledge in their head. Nobody knows it all. So if you have that attitude of I know it all, I don't need advice, I don't need financial advice, I don't need advice from this friend or that friend because I have it all figured out, you are threading a wrong path and you should be very careful. The series reminds us to remain humble and be teachable. There's definitely someone out there who knows more than you. There's definitely someone who has attained a level in their finances that you are trying to attain. So what do? The best thing you do is keep quiet, go to these people and try to learn what they learn. Try to learn their ways. And the reason I'm saying this is that Zuri fell in love again. Her new boyfriend was someone that was financial literate. He was very financial literate, very ambitious, which is great. And you realize that it was one of the people that played a major role in helping Zuri on her journey to financial freedom. In a different situation, Zuri could have decided not to pay attention to him, not to heed his advice. There was one time that she wanted to buy a car that she thought she could afford because she had the money at hand and I think she was getting a promotion. But when you look at her finances, she technically could not afford to buy that car because once she paid for the car, everything else is just going to be dry. At that point, this man kind of called her out, let her know where she was financially. And the fact that she was getting a huge chunk of money didn't mean that she was there financially. If Zuri was someone that wasn't humble enough to listen to him and listen to all the other pieces of financial advice that he had given to her, she would still be struggling financially. So even though she wasn't there, she was very willing to learn, very willing to be humble and take the tips that were given to her by the financial experts, by her boyfriend, and eventually she was beginning to have a good grasp of her finances. You may not have a boyfriend or a partner that is financial literate, you may not have a financial advisor in your life, but you have YouTube videos, you have this channel for example. There are books out there that are teaching so many things. There are Instagram pages that are teaching so many things on financial literacy. Follow these pages, subscribe to these channels. If you haven't subscribed, this is the time to do so. Educate yourself. You don't know it all. The next one is don't do more than yourself. Cut your coat according to your size. If you cannot afford to do something, do not try to by all means do it if you know for a fact that you cannot afford to do it. And then there's the issue of black tax, which is basically friends, cousins, acquaintances demanding or asking for financial support from you. Of course, by all means, support your family members financially when you can, support your friends, your relatives, but there is a limit to that. There's a point where it becomes draining to you, where it begins to stress you out, where it is not helping you financially. And when you get to that, actually don't get to that point. But when you get to that point, learn to say no. Don't kill yourself because it is not worth it. You are a human being as well, and you also deserve to live a comfortable life. Of course, there are instances where there's disease involved. There's, it's a life and death matter. Of course, for those instances, you can sacrifice. But when family members or friends are making excessive demands, unnecessary demands, and it almost feels like you're waking up in the morning and going to work for those people, that is where you draw the line. From the series, you realize that Lala was struggling with this. She had a mother and siblings that were depending on her financially. And because she made it look like it was easy to constantly support them, they didn't realize that it was taking a lot out of her to be able to cater for them, and she was neglecting a lot of her needs. This next tip is something that you should start doing right now if you're not doing already. And it is to have a budget and cut down your expenses where it is necessary. If you don't know where your money is going to, how would you know what items are taking a chunk of your money? And how will you be able to save and attain financial freedom? Question. If you don't have a budget, it's fine. Like I said, it's never too late to fix your finances. Budgeting will help you track your expenses, help you find out which of these expenses is taking a chunk of your money. Is this something that you can live without? If it's something that you can live without, then it is time to cut down on these expenses and be able to save more money or keep more money. And if you watch the series, you realize that Zuri did that a lot. There was a time where she had to cancel her gym membership in order to save money. There was a time where she had to cancel her weekly or monthly facials in order to save money. There are some things that become a luxury to you if you're trying to get better at your finances. You may be able to afford them, or at least it may look like you may be able to afford them, but once you begin to track your expenses, you realize that you're throwing a lot of money away. So if you don't have a budget or do not track your expenses, I want you to start doing that immediately after you watch this video. I have an entire video on how to budget. It will give you the basics on how to do that. I'm going to leave a link in the description box so you can check it out after this video. The next lesson, and it is one that is very important, is to plan for the future. Start saving and investing. Start building an emergency fund because you do not know what's going to happen tomorrow. Get an insurance policy. Nobody wishes for bad things to happen to anybody, but make sure that you are taking steps to prepare yourself financially for the future. Get an emergency fund. If you don't know what an emergency fund is, it's basically a fund that holds 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses. So if any bad thing happens, if you fall sick, have an accident, or are laid off work, there's something that you can rely on for 3 to 6 months while you try to get back on your feet. In the series, you realize that there was a time that Zuri's company had to lay off staff, and there was this particular lady that was so devastated because her salary was taking care of her entire family, and it took a very long time for her to be able to get that job to start with. And yes, I cannot even begin to imagine how frustrating it will be to lose your job. But if she had some form of security or some form of emergency fund to fall on, then it wouldn't be as devastating as it was for her and her family. You also realized that Zuri's mother's house got burnt. There was no insurance policy. If there was an insurance policy on the house, the insurance company would have just paid whatever cost was involved, and that way to be taken off Zuri and her siblings' shoulders. And it's very easy for us to say that, God forbid, this will never happen to me. My house will never get burnt. I would never lose my job. I won't fall sick. I won't have any chronic disease. And yes, God forbid, but bad things do happen to good people, right? The fact that somebody's house got burnt doesn't mean that they're a bad person. How about you better prepare yourself for incidences like this? If nothing bad happens to you, that's amazing. You still don't lose any money. All these things compound, and if one day something bad happens, there's always something that you can fall on. The next lesson is to try and have multiple sources of income. Start a side hustle if you can afford it. That can also serve as a cushion for if people get laid off at work and you're one of them, you have something to fall on. But you realize that the way the economy is going, I don't know where you live, but For those of us who live in Nigeria, Ghana, Africa, it is very difficult to rely on one source of income if you do not have a very good paying job. If you do not have any side hustle, or if you don't think you're talented or knowledgeable enough to start a side business, you don't have to do that. There are other ways that you can have multiple sources of income. I think when we say multiple sources of income or having another source of income, people forget that investing is something that is bringing you income. When you invest in certain things, you're either getting dividend or you're making money as you sleep. That's money making money for you in your sleep. So you don't have to go and start a whole nother business in order to have another source of income. Simply investing your money is enough to supplement for that other source of income that you may need. If you want to get into investing, check out this video where I share 6 things you need to do to ensure you are well prepared for investing. And these 6 things will help you ensure that you make the most profit out of your investment. So tap on the video and I will see you over in this video. Peace out.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly.